Welcome to Changing Suits. We're your hosts, Bal
and Taj, discussing the latest news, views, and general life for us Western Asians.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hi, welcome to Changing Suits. My name's Bal.
And my name's Taj.
We actually came across a Metro article a little while ago talking about getting married a second time. Now, getting married the first time is hard enough, but obviously doing it a second time brings a whole other level. We've invited Raj from Seek Wills to join us today and explain his journey. So before we start, Raj, could you give us a bit of an introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Raj. I'm from Leamington Spa, born and bred. I run a company called... Sorry, I should say Royal Leamington Spa.
Cool. Yeah, obviously.
In the Midlands. And
that just let it down, didn't it, the Midlands?
Oh. Right, let's get into the reason we did this podcast. Let's not go into the politicals of...
let's not get into East London. So I run a company called Seek Wills, specialise in wills, trusts, probate, anything to do with death. I'm your man, which we'll go into a bit more detail. So that's what I do. I've got 3 children. My eldest daughter is Naveen, who's going to turn 13 this month. Avani, she is 9, and Viren, who he is 7 years old.
Lovely. You don't look a day over 21. I don't know how you've got a 13-year-old.
Right. Okay. Right. So I'm literally I'm sat in front of a client who's 70 years old, and they're calling me Baji.
Oh God, yeah.
Grey hairs, right? So no, I look older than I
am. Raj, one of the reasons, the main reason that we wanted to talk to you was obviously due to the fact that you have got remarried. Can you give us a bit of an insight as to, firstly, your first marriage and what happened there?
So I first got married in 2008. Her name was Nim, or Nimrat, and I met her in... when people say, how did you meet Nim? I always say I met her on an island. They're like, what do you mean? She used to work at River Island. So
God, that's good. I like that.
It's very corny though.
Yeah, very funny. And my cousin used to work there, and I walked in. I thought, who's that over there? She's all right. She is. She goes, oh, that's Nim. I thought, she's all right. She goes, go and say hello. I was like, nah. She goes, go and say hello. I see me like Joey from Friends. Like, how you doing? You know?
Oh God, you didn't, did you?
Yeah. I was about 16, 17 years old then.
Oh wow! So you were very young.
Yeah. So we're talking long. Not like when I'm an old man or anything. No, I wouldn't do that. But literally, I was in my teens, and persevered. Like, she wasn't having none of it. Went in the week after and the week after that, and then eventually...
How much did you buy from River Island? They must have been happy with your custom.
No. Don't forget, I was a student, so just window shopping.
Of course.
Fair enough.
But I remember going in one time where I had a party to go to, and I just wanted to get a new outfit. So I went in, obviously, River Island. I knew she was working there, and I bought this white zip-up top. And I went to the counter, she was serving, and she obviously got really nervous. It was £20. She got nervous, and she put 3 extra zeros. She's like, oh...
That's one expensive outfit. Yeah,
and you didn't know, so you paid it?
No. 17 years old? No, definitely not. And so we just met up, as friends. I went to Manchester Uni, and she was at Keele University. And we would just meet in the summer, just as friends. But then it was in my final year of university. I was like, what am I doing? She's such a nice girl. Is this a girl that I can bring back, introduce to my parents? I thought, yeah, she is. So I called her. I said, look, can you come to Manchester? And she's like, why, what's happened? I said, nothing, just come to Manchester. She got the next train up, got a cab back to my house and everything. Said, what's wrong? I was like, what are you saying, shall we get together?
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And she was like, what? I was like, you and me, should we try it? And she literally hit me on the she pretty much punched me on the shoulder, and she said, "Is that it?" I was like, "What do you
Why
mean?" She
didn't
goes,
you go? Wait, I want to know. Why didn't you go over to her?
I was about to ask that actually.
I,
And this
had,
is
I, was a student, I was a student. I had no money.
okay.
Well,
Just out of interest, in that case, how old was Nim, and how old? Well, you said you were 16 when you met her.
no, no. So when we met, River Island, 16, 17, but in my final year, I was 20, 21. And same age.
Okay.
She was same age. She was about 4 or 5 months older than me.
Okay,
And
so she was a student as well, yet she travelled to you. Okay, got that, Raj.
yeah, but but she was good at saving. I wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
that says it all. There you go.
men.
that's it. Yeah, and then she hit me on the shoulder. She said, "Is that it?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, I thought somebody had died, or you needed some money." I was like, "But I'm a student. I need money," and and literally that was it. So I got my degree, 100% guaranteed because of her. I was so laid back, I mean, I failed my first year at university. I messed around, but she actually got me my degree, and she put me kind of back on track. And then, told my parents. She told her grandparents because she had a really good relationship with her grandparents. So I met them first. And then she told her parents, and I met them after. Then the parents met, and siblings met, and everything. And yeah, we got married in 2008.
This
Yeah.
is a really nice point to ask. I suppose we've had this episode where we discuss arranged marriages and love marriages. Now, especially because we are really focused on South Asian culture and the differences between our traditional parents versus obviously the life that we've been brought up in. How did your parents take it that obviously you had brought Nim home?
They're actually quite happy. My mum knew anyway because secretly at night time I'll be whispering, like on the phone, and she would come in and I'd be like,
Yeah, falling
yeah,
asleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in my head, I always thought if I was going to get married, it's going to be that arranged marriage. Two families come together, we'll sit in one room, get to know each other. That's what I thought was going to happen. So my parents are really, really happy, and we were from the same town in Leamington, which made it even better.
What happened next then?
Got married and in 2008, and then shortly after, she fell pregnant. She was a solicitor, but she got made redundant. And then I said, look, there's no point in you finding another job because they're going to see the bump and then they're not going to offer you a job. So that was her last ever job, in 2008. And Naveen, our eldest, who's going to be 13 at the end of the month, she was born in June 2009.
But you knew each other for such a long period of time anyway. It was almost like the next step for you guys.
Yeah.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the advantage that we had. Like we knew each other, for a long time. It wasn't constant. It was just meeting up, coffee, and so on. But that was the advantage that we had, as opposed to an arranged marriage. Get to know each other for a couple of years and then have children. But the things at the time, we were living with my parents, and that was a bit difficult as well. That
Oh, it's surprising you would say, as a man, saying that it was difficult. In
why
what sense was it difficult?
why? Okay.
Oh God,
Well,
he's
my
going to throw
question
a
to you is
question back at
why is
me.
Oh,
We've never had this before. Wow. Okay, go on.
so my question to you is why is it like for a bloke to say that is difficult?
You don't hear it often. It's not. It's not that it's not right that you didn't say it,
Yeah.
but it's that you don't usually hear a man saying it's difficult. Usually, men hold in their feelings, and this is something that we discuss, and it does impact their mental health because they're holding everything in, and they're not talking to anyone about how difficult it can get at home because you're balancing the wife and what the parents want, and you're kind of stuck in the middle as the man. So it's great to hear that you did say it's difficult.
Yeah, I
Mm.
100% agree with you. But I'm at that stage in my life where I am literally sick and tired of holding these feelings back because I'm a bloke. I
Brilliant.
shouldn't be saying these things, stuck
That's
in the
great.
middle. I'm at that stage in my life of like, you know what? yeah, this is how it was back in the day. I'm not afraid to share my feelings,
And that's amazing.
Yeah. And
Mm.
it was difficult because it was like come from one family. She had a big family, She got one brother, uh, two sisters, so it was a big family, grandparents, cousins. Whereas it's me, my mum and dad, and my sister. There was conflict at home, especially being pregnant, and so on. So just after Naveen's birthday, uh, just before Naveen's first birthday, we actually moved out. So it got to the point where I thought, okay, we need our own space now.
Did moving out help Nim's relationship with your parents?
It did, yeah,
Okay.
it
Because
did.
sometimes that bit of space does create a better relationship. And you get your own space and your own time, and then you get to meet up when you want to on the occasions. So space can be good for a relationship.
Absolutely agree.
How did your parents take it though?
I think they found it difficult at first, but then they thought, no, this is the right thing. This
Oh,
is the
good.
right thing because they needed their space, we needed our space, and obviously we had a newborn baby, but we were only literally one street behind. So yeah, so it did work out.
Good.
Worked out well. Yeah,
Good.
Brilliant.
So what happened next? So you've had your little one at that point.
yeah.
What was the next stage of your lives?
Probably the next baby.
Yeah, that sounds about right, to be fair.
Basically, our plan was to have three kids before the age of 30. But what happened was we had three kids at the age of 31.
Oh, I just missed it by a year.
Missed it. Absolutely missed it. Yeah, yeah. But when Avani was born, like it was a totally different pregnancy. The bump was a different shape. The cravings were different. Everyone's like, "You're gonna have a boy." This, that, the other. Oh, brilliant, excellent. And then when Avani was born, that's it. It was like, Judd Goiner. All right, it doesn't matter. Better luck next time. We had all of that. Literally, we had all of that.
We completely understand it because there's three of us sisters. So
Yeah.
we've heard it all. How was it for you? And what kind of things were you hearing from people? And I'm thinking it's negativity, quite a lot of it.
So it's and again, being brutally honest, I'm not going to lie about how I felt because when throughout the whole pregnancy, it was a different pregnancy. Like I said about the bump, about the cravings, and everything. And in my mind, and in Nim's mind, we thought we're gonna have a boy.
My boy, yeah.
Right, that's it. So I bought like baby trainer, like boys trainers, kept them to the side. Yeah, she bought this. And when Avani was born, I was like, it's meant to be a boy.
Yeah.
And then for the first day, 24 hours to 48 hours, it was hard for me to bond with her because I thought, oh man, I'm gonna have a son. But this is from the outside influence. Um, and,
Do you know
and
what's really interesting? I mean, and it's we always say the generations moved on. We're not talking about gender inequality. Sorry, now we're thinking about genders being equal.
yeah,
But even in our minds, we're all three of us are going to be very open about this. There is still that thing in our minds, and it is what you've just said, the external influence, and from our parents as well, um, where you do have that hope for having that boy. So has that gender inequality
so
moved?
okay, so if I bring my career into this,
Mhm.
so I obviously go out and see so many families. I do their wills for them. I was like, okay, husband, wife, one dies, it goes to the other. Then you got three children. How do you want to give it? Mundaya is our son, we're going to give it to him. I was like, okay, what about the girls? No, they're set. We provided for them and so on. All right, okay. They can make a claim on the estate afterwards, but as long as you're aware, that's fine. And then it was like 50-50. I was like, okay, that's good. Now we're going to give it to the girl because our daughters do a lot more for us than the son does.
Do
So,
you really hear that doing the wills now?
yeah, so many times.
Have you seen over the years that you've been doing it that things have changed? Are
I've
they
been doing
getting
this.
better?
I've been doing this for about 14 years now.
Yeah.
It's everything to the son, 50-50. Now give it to the daughter because carrying on the surname with the son and all that malarkey, it doesn't mean anything. It's all about the daughter. It's the daughters that are there, that are taking care of the dad, the mum. I remember walking into one meeting in Coventry a couple of weeks ago. The dad, he's probably about in his late 80s, couldn't really get up, and the daughter was there, like just massaging his legs, washing his feet, and I thought, you never see your son do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really interesting? We actually did an episode on this, and it started from the wills, because I had the same thought of, oh, when I'm doing my wills, the first thing was, I'll probably give it to my son. And then I spoke to Tad, and she's like, would you give it only to your son? And then we had this whole thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that it was even the first thought in my mind. And it's only when we have these conversations that people are actually saying, well, no, it shouldn't be like that. Why is it like that? And I'm going to put my hand up. I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And I remember giving a talk on the BBC Asia Network probably about 6-7 years ago. Should daughters expect inheritance? And I remember going on there, I said, hang on, it shouldn't be daughters. Why should we as children expect inheritance from our parents?
Yeah.
It's their hard-earned money. Why can't we work hard and, earn our own money?
But do you think then that is the Western influence? Because coming from the East, our parents have always wanted to look after their kids. Do you think what you've just said there is perhaps a bit of a negative, that we're trying to go too much against that Eastern tradition of looking after our kids, looking after our family, where you're like, actually, no, I'm not going to look after anyone else. I need to make sure I'm happy in my life. What do you think?
I don't think it's not Western influence. I think it's living in the Western world. The fact that it's all about work, 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 family, children. So our generation, they're finding it hard to look after, parents. So I actually get clients who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s saying, you know what, our kids aren't going to look after us. If we go into a care home, how do I protect my house if I go into care? Whereas that generation would be like, no, we know for a fact our children will look after us if we go into care, or they will say, we'll care for you at home. Our generation is like, now we're too busy. So like our parents' generation is like, no, they're too scared.
Raj, I'm going to bring this back, because I think we probably will bring you back for another episode to talk about wills, because I'm sure it's a massive area.
Yeah.
I just want to bring you back to
what we originally came on
what we were here for in the first place. So you've had your second daughter, and obviously we've had that question of, I wanted a boy. But let's move on from that slightly, because we're going to bring you back a second time after this podcast to talk about gender inequality as well. What happened next in your marriage?
So Viren was born in 2015. Again, wasn't planned, but in Nim's mind, it was quite a stressful pregnancy, because it was like, oh my God, what if I have another girl? I'm going to have 3 girls. And it was like, again, outside influence. I say, look, it doesn't matter, as long as the baby's healthy, that's all that matters. And then obviously,
in your mind, did you find that to be true to yourself at that point, where you did feel like, as long as the baby's healthy?
At that point, 100% yes.
Good. Okay, lovely.
Because with when Avani is born, obviously people say it's a boy. I thought it was going to be a boy, and then I kind of like messed myself up. Like my bonding with Avani, it's because I thought it was going to be a boy, because I was listening to what other people were saying. I thought with the third pregnancy, I'm not even going to look at the shape of the bump, what the cravings are. I thought whatever it is, it is. And and when we went for the 20-week scan, the midwife said, look, she put the gel on, and she said, look, do you want to know what it is? And Nim looked at me, I looked at her, and we were like, she goes, like, tell me quick, because I can tell you, what you're having. And we're like, okay, go on then. She goes, you're having a boy. Nim looked at me, and she burst into tears, because it, like, for the first 20 weeks, it's so stressful, arguments, because she put herself on so much pressure, because she's going to have a girl. I was like, it doesn't matter. But, when she found out she was having Viren, after that, the last 20 weeks were a doddle, And then that was in 2015, Viren was born. And then fast forward 2017, March 2017, we were all sat at the dinner table, and like she started eating, but she got a lot of pain here. I was like, "You're right." She goes, "It really hurts when I eat." Didn't think nothing of it. Still happened about 2, 3 weeks later, and I thought, "Oh, you need to make a point with the doctor." Went to the doctor. Doctor said you got acid reflux. Gave her omeprazole, and she had that for about 3, 4 months. And then she goes, "No, it still hurts." Went back, but she lost a lot of weight, and the doctor thought, "All right, okay." That's when the alarm bell started ringing for the doctor. Lost a lot of weight. Referred her to the hospital consultant. He did lots of tests and so on. But in December 2017, he did a biopsy of the stomach. And then this is the turning point for me. Is that when he did the biopsy, he turned around to both of us and said, "If it's okay, I'd rather not tell you the results." I was like, "Why would you say that to us? This was in hospital." I thought, okay. So we had Christmas, got that out of the way, had a meeting with the consultant in early Jan, and he said, "Look, we got the results back. You got cancer. Your life is cut short." And we were like,
So he waited all that time before they
"Yeah."
took. And how were you feeling at that point? Because obviously they've got a result, and they've said we'd rather not tell you. What were the thoughts that were going on in your mind?
On that day, I was like, "Why would he say that?" I
Yeah.
didn't say anything to Nim. I didn't want to scare her. And I was like, "That's not right." And then obviously you get in the Christmas spirit with the kids and so on, then you forget about it. And then I remember January the 1st, Nim was like, "Do you know what? I've worked hard. I want to reward myself. I want to get a red Range Rover Evoque." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, no worries." 5 days later, we got the call, went to hospital, and that's when she got diagnosed. So she never ever got that Range Rover. And for me, that's played a very important part in my life. It's like, why wait for a special occasion? Because that special occasion might never come. And then just from there onwards, it was just literally like downhill, downhill, downhill from there.
What kind of cancer was it? And
It was stomach cancer.
stomach cancer. And from finding out, obviously in January, what was the process for you, and what did you go through during that period?
I'm a very positive person. Nim was a very positive person as well. But again, you get my mum and dad are like religious. They got Maharaj at home, so it's all about whatever happens, happen. But and then they said, okay, we can do chemotherapy, but the thing is, because Nim couldn't eat by then, they said your weight is so low. We need. She's about 42 kilos. They said we need to get to about 48, 49 kilos, but you can't eat. So they did an operation where they put a tube in her small bowels, and she was fed liquid food. So that did increase her weight after about a month or so. And then after a bit of research, we decided to do immunotherapy. So immunotherapy just targets the bad cancer cells, whereas chemo does both good and bad. And they went to Nottingham. They said everything's good, but you've got a blockage in your liver. The only way we can go ahead and progress is that we take the bile out of the liver, and then that's it. We're good to go. Simple operation. The surgeon, so cocky. I remember this, and he goes, "Yeah, yeah, no, I've done so many of these." He messed the operation up. Instead of he basically pierced a hole in the liver, and all the bile just went into a bloodstream. I've never, ever, ever seen Nim in that much pain. It's like all 3 pregnancies in one. Um, they messed up the drug card. They didn't even give her the morphine or the drugs. They took her up to the labour suite because they didn't have any room
Oh
on the
my
ward.
God, that's
We're like, "What's going
crazy.
on?" And
Yeah.
this was about 9 o'clock at night. So all the staff had gone home, and they had the nighttime doctor. Nurse was trying to track him down, and that was a very traumatic time. And then
How old were your kids when you were going through
um,
this?
9, 5, and 3.
It's very young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but very, very young.
So when that happened, because obviously she's on the operating table, I take it, and you're waiting outside,
Yeah.
and you're hearing bits of information of what's going on.
They didn't say like it had gone wrong. It's only when they took her to the labour suite, we're like, "Why are we here?" They go, "We haven't got no room on the ward." And then we're like, okay. And then Nim was like, right, give me some morphine. I need some morphine. I called the nurse, looked at a drug card, empty. And that's when I was like, okay, what's going on? What happened? Why is she in so much pain? And that's where it all came out. And eventually, about 3-4 hours later, that's when they administered the morphine, and that she
She had to
relaxed.
wait 3-4 hours for
Yeah,
morphine.
yeah.
Wow.
3-4 hours in that much pain. Next day, they discharged her. So we drove back to Leamington from Nottingham, and within about 16, 17 hours, like, she was in pain at home. So I had to get all the way back to Nottingham. And that's it. For the next 3-4 months, we were there, in, out, in, out. So me and Nim's mum like kind of took it in shift turns. She would stay there for a couple of days. I'll come out with the kids. I'll go there. She'll come out with the kids, and it's just that. And then the kids probably came out 3-4 times to Nottingham.
What were they doing for her when she was in hospital in that period of time?
So her temperature was fluctuating between 39 to like 42. They could not control her temperature. All the focus was on that, not the cancer. All the focus on the liver, draining the bile out of the liver, and her temperature.
So was the cancer still active at that point then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it got to the point where obviously you do your research, cleaned up her diet, juices and so on, and cannabis oil. And I said to the oncologist, I said, look, can she take cannabis oil? She goes, look, off the record, I've got patients that take it, and I said, does it interfere with any treatment? She goes, not really, no. So I managed to find someone that did cannabis oil, and I'm not talking about cannabis oil you get in the shop, Holland and Barrett.
It's pure, yeah.
The pure one with the THC, and she took that, and it actually worked. It actually contained the cancer.
Oh wow.
It definitely contained the cancer. Yeah.
Okay. So did you bring her back home in that case, if it was contained? And
Brought her back home. But then she went back again, and then it got to the point we're like, Nottingham, you messed her up. We got no faith in you. We want to take her back to Coventry, which is only about 20 minutes away from home, and at least that way the kids can come, every other day and so on. Because Nottingham was over on a good day an hour, on a bad day an hour and 40 minutes. So we transferred her there.
And how old was Nim at this point?
34.
Okay.
And what I didn't mention is when she was first diagnosed, obviously she was upset, she was crying. Went back to the car. I went back into the hospital, and I said, "Okay, you said her life's cut short. How long?" They're like, "Do you really want to know?" I was like, "Yeah." He said she's probably got 18 months, 2 years left. And I didn't tell anybody that. I kept that to myself.
Oh wow!
Did you tell? So you didn't tell Nim either?
No. I didn't
That's
tell.
such a heavy burden to carry by yourself. How are you feeling mentally, like knowing this, not sharing this information with anyone? How are you getting through your days, basically?
Can I swear on here? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you can if you want. I do it plenty.
It was like, damn, it's you never expect this with the person that you get married to. We had been married 9 years at that point, and you think, you're telling me I've only got 1.5, 2 years left with my wife? That's how long the kids have got with their mum. So it was a lot. But I as soon as I digested that, I blocked it out. I thought my focus is on her getting her better.
So how did you feel about knowing that there was a time limit?
It's as weird as it sounds. It's like, if the doctors are right, then that's when I started my grieving process. I thought, shit, do you know what? Right, I've only got a couple of years left maximum with my wife. I want to make the most of it. But then I thought, because I'm quite optimistic, I thought, okay, what if they're wrong? But prepare for the worst, but expect the best. And that was my outlook, over the last, 18 months, 2 years. But
So how did you make the most of it in that case?
that, when she was told that, well, when I was told she had 18 months, 2 years, I thought, I'm going to make the most of it by going on holidays, by making memories and so on. But I couldn't do any of that because she just got weaker and weaker and weaker.
Do you know what? This is a tough thing, though, isn't it? It's a thought that we all go through at a certain point in life where you're like, you've got the means to do it. However, we don't because we're still working so hard. And then if you don't have, if you get to the stage where, you realize this, but you just can't because of health, it's a tough one. It's tough.
100%. I always remember a time because having 3 kids is tough, with Naveen, Avani, Viren, bedtime routines and so on. And we always said, okay, we're in 2018, Viren is going to start school. That is when we can have, husband wife time, go on coffees, breakfast, and so on. And I'll never forget, it's like on Viren's first day, it's about the 7th of September in 2018. She was in no state to even walk. She couldn't even take him to school. I literally had to do the school run by myself. I thought, this is what we've been looking forward to. And she can't even take him to school. Yeah. And for him, it was like, my mummy and daddy going to hold my hand, my hands and take me to school. But it was just me.
How were the kids taking it? Because obviously their life had almost fallen. Did you actually, first of all, did you tell them what was going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they can see that she's been in Nottingham Hospital for 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And obviously questions, well, where is she? What's wrong with her?
Yeah.
And they could see that she was in a hospital bed, she was losing weight. And so I said to them, I said, look, mummy's not well, but the doctors and nurses are trying so hard to fix her, make her better. After Nottingham, she obviously got transferred to Coventry, and then she would come back home. But the the nurses would come home 3 times a day to administer morphine and give her antibiotics and so on. So the kids actually made friends with the nurses, but they could see that mommy was on the sofa, and eventually she moved to the hospital bed, in our front room because they dropped one off. So they could see her deteriorate, and I just told them straight. I said, "Look, mommy is not well." And then it got to one point where they said, "Okay, we need to do radiotherapy. If it works, okay, that's going to prolong her life a little bit more. If it doesn't, she got 6 weeks left." 6 weeks
God.
left. Yeah.
Rock in a hard place, as they say.
Yeah. And then I told the children, I said, kids, mummy's going for an operation. If it works, brilliant. But keep praying to God that it's going to work. If not, there's going to be a chance that she's going to go to Babaji in the sky. And I remember saying that to Naveen, and she was, 9 years old at the time. She was literally crying, screaming, locked herself in the room. Yeah, she found it really difficult, really difficult. So that's one of the hardest things, telling children.
Did your wife have the energy to, I don't know, because when you're at that point, obviously your energy's low, you don't know what's going on around you. But did you talk about feelings and how she was feeling at that point? Did she have enough energy to do that?
Yeah, so when she did have the energy, I could see that she was like withdrawing herself from the children, from everybody around her. And I remember Nim's mom saying to her, "Come on, Nim, what are you doing? The kids want to play, they want to hug, give them a kiss." But it was just literally just looking at empty. When you're in a daze. And I thought, all right, she's detaching herself from everyone now because she knows that she's going to leave this earth. She's going to leave her children that she's giving birth to, because why give them that false sense of hope? The fact that, hug them, play with them, kiss them, and then that's it. Next day you're gone. So I could understand that, but many people couldn't. But there was a point where she didn't have any energy. Because again, don't forget, she still had that tube and she was still being fed liquid food. But there was a time where she hadn't been to the toilet for 17 days.
Wow.
And me and Nim's mum had a big argument. She's like, no, we need to, still attach her to, still feed her. I said, she hasn't been to the toilet for 17 days. Where's all this going? She goes, she needs energy. I said, energy for what? Because at that point, it was like, doctor said no.
Do you think that might be a mother's thing where they're like,
It is.
you need
Of
to
course it
feed,
is.
feed,
Of course.
feed?
Oh, it is. It's that mother's love. She doesn't want to see her daughter, go that way. Who wants to see their child die? But sometimes you have to be, realistic, because you're pumping all this food in her, but it's causing more harm than good. And
Yeah.
and so why would you? Yeah, I get the fact that you love your child, but you're putting pressure on her. You're basically making things worse. And so there was a big argument about that. But again, because I was next of kin, I had power of attorney. What I said went, really.
Mm.
And did you get advice from the doctors as well? Because would they have given you advice of taking out?
Yeah, it was the nurses. The
Yeah.
nurses that
Sorry,
came.
the nurses. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was the nurse that came home, and I said, "Look, this is what's going on." And they said, "Look, don't, because again, she hasn't been to the toilet for 17 days. Where's it going? It's got
Mm.
nowhere to go." It was actually seeping out of the tube because it was like coming back out. I was like, "See, it's not going anywhere."
Mm.
Yeah.
You spoke about the radiotherapy and you decided to go ahead with the radiotherapy.
Yeah.
What happened next?
So the funny thing is that Nim said, "I'm always going to get a tattoo." I was like, "Okay." So with radiotherapy, what they do is they line up where they're going to do it, and they make it's like kind of like a tattoo mark, and it was
Yep.
right here, and they give like a little tiny dot. She goes, "Oh, finally got my tattoo."
I love it.
Yeah, finally got
Not
my.
quite what she was after, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Not the pattern that she wanted,
no,
but fair enough.
right,
She
yeah,
ticked that off the bucket list.
that's it. That's it. Bucket list. So she finally got that, and it did work, but only briefly. Then it got to the point where the consultant at Coventry, she was very, very brutal, straight to the point. And it's like when we got transferred from Nottingham to Coventry, she's looking through the notes, and she said to Nim, "You realise you've only got 12 months left?" And that is the first time Nim ever heard how long she had left. Nim looked at
What,
me,
just said it like that?
literally just like that. "You've only got 12 months
Wow.
left." And Nim was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Well, I'm going to fight this." Like, yeah, yeah, good. And again, they couldn't control the temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Nim never cried when she was told how long she had left. The only time she cried, because at that point her passion was hair and makeup, so she left the will writing business to do hair and makeup, and she did really well in that. She was booked like 2 years in advance, but when she found out that she couldn't do it anymore, I remember she was in the hospital bed. I was at the end. She got a phone, threw the phone at me, threw Dara at me. She could just cancel everything, and that's when she burst into tears. And I thought, oh man. I was like, okay, that in itself is a death sentence for her. Is that the fact that she can't pursue her
Her
passion?
passion, isn't it?
Mm.
There's a passion, you know.
How did you react to that? Because obviously, it's when that person is like, "No, I can do this. I can do this." It gives you a bit of hope. How were you at that point in that case?
Don't forget, when she first got diagnosed, she had 18 months, 2 years left. Coventry, she got told 1 year left. So for me, it was like, okay, again, I'm a realist but optimistic as well. So I'm like, damn, man, it's going to have to be. So you have to cancel, you know? And I was getting calls saying, oh, Nim was supposed to come and do my hair and makeup on thinking, what's happened? I said, look, she's in hospital. She's not well. And I didn't want to say that she had the cancer because Nim didn't want anyone to know.
Oh, so
It
no one else knew apart from immediate family then?
immediate family.
Oh,
She didn't want
wow.
anybody to know.
Wow.
Okay, silly question. Why didn't she want anyone else to know?
Pressure, because she was every time you'd see her, she was always like prim and proper. She'd never leave the house without makeup, because she's a hair and makeup artist. But seeing her in a vulnerable state like that, you could say that she was ashamed or, lacked confidence. She didn't want anyone seeing her like that. And it was only in the last 3-4 days I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to start telling family, tell her friends, so they can say they're
So
fine.
not even her close friends knew either.
So,
Wow. Okay.
Do you think that this is actually something from, again, going back to being a South Asian, where we don't want other people to know about our medical problems? We've all been there. We've hidden this, that, and the other. Do you think it comes down to that as well?
I think it is. I don't think it's just being South Asian. I think it's just in society in general. And if you've got a problem,
Mm.
you tell anyone, you're going to be seen as being weak. And I think this is the same thing. Someone's got mental health problems, they ain't going to share it, especially like if you're male. because you're going to be seen as weak. And I think that's the same with her, because she would do anything, everything with the kids, hair and makeup. She'll start at 11 o'clock at night, and then she'll carry on till 6 in the evening next day, but she'll carry on.
Yeah.
But for her, it's like, man, I can't do anything. I'm bedbound. I'm weak. I can't do anything. And I suppose it is.
Talk us through the journey. And I know this is going to be, quite a hard part of the conversation. But where did you go from there? So you've got 3-4 days, you're starting to tell people.
Yeah. And then people coming over, and, when somebody's on their last stages, their breathing gets shallow. So they're in and out of consciousness. But I think what I should really talk about is obviously what I'm here for is about the remarrying thing.
Yeah.
So I remember Nim's mum saying, "Look, Nim's in that room. She's upset. Can you go and see her?" This was like before, it's probably about 8 weeks before. And I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, "Promise me that you're never going to marry again." And I was like, "Okay."
Wait, who said that? Her mum?
Nim said that to me.
Oh, Nim said that to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
She goes, "Promise me you'll never marry again." I was like, "Yeah, of course. I'm not going to marry again." And
how did you feel at that point? Was that your true thought? I guess I suppose it makes sense.
because you don't even think about remarrying when your wife's still alive, and you got children. I thought, yeah, why are you saying stupid, silly things like that? And and so that's where it kind of like, that's where the hate and the trolls kind of started from, which I'll go into. But getting back to your question about the last 3-4 days, it's like, kids, mummy's really not well. She's probably going to go to Barbie's in the Sky. They're like, okay. And it's the day before. That was very, very tough, because, again, when somebody's right at the last stages, they will be given a thing called a midazolam. A midazolam is an injection which relaxes all your muscles. What that means is, as soon as you're given that, you've probably got no more than 30, 40 hours left, because that puts you in a sense of coma, and then you're gone. And that's what they were given. And I remember having an argument with Nim's side of the family. They said they've given her too much. I thought, no, they haven't. Members of the family, they were like doctors, so they were like looking through the drug chart, and it's actually, no, she hasn't been given hardly anything. And then all it was is that we got I was sat in the other room, that quick, Nim's not breathing properly, and that she took 3 very, very deep breaths, and then the last one was like, and that's it. And right, I was like, she's gone now. But after that, it was like a circus. Everyone was wailing. Everyone was trying to do CPR on her, trying to bring her back to life. I'm like, what are you doing? And that was, at that point, it's kind of like I had an out-of-body experience. It's like I came out, I was in the corner of the room, I was watching everyone. I was like, what's going on? And I don't know how long I was like that for. And then I came back in. I was like, just stop it. And then everyone just like stopped. I said, put her back on the bed. And they put her back on the bed. And, the ambulance was called. And then the paramedics came, and they were like, she's gone. And that's it. And then everyone was kind of like saying their goodbyes, wailing, crying. Family came. And I was like, when somebody passes away, especially your wife, it should be very, very peaceful. But that was the most traumatic time and the most disturbing time of my life. That was, because I've worked in the funeral industry, and I know what it should be like when somebody passes away, but it's not what I expected. And nobody should go like that, especially when someone's got cancer. The doctor have said you're going to die, and you're trying to bring them back to life. It's not right. It's definitely not right.
Do you think it's almost like people were trying to clutch at straws and trying to be like, maybe we can, probably not at the time, just in the situation, maybe we can get her to come back to life? It was almost like last hopes.
And then what? bring her back to life, and then what? Then you're punishing yourself twice.
But
You
at
know,
that point, yeah, you don't think logically. Yeah.
if there's one thing I've learned, I don't believe in hope, because Nim's mum was like, in the last few weeks of Nim's life, they're like, there's always hope. I was like, no. Listen to what the doctors are saying. Listen to what the consultants are saying. Right? Be realistic. No, there's always hope. I said, look, hope is going to bring you pain. If you're going to cling on to this, trust me, you're going to be in pain. She clung on to hope. I didn't. And still in pain. I'm not. So this is
Do
why, yeah.
Do you think that's just different people's way of dealing and coping with
Of
things?
course it is. You know, look at the industry I work in. I worked in the funeral industry. You know, mentally, I'm very, very strong.
Do you think the fact that obviously she went through that whole thing of having the cancer and all the medical problems helped you sort of come to terms with the fact that she was going to pass? So it made it easier for you.
It's made me accept death more.
Hmm.
Yeah, 100% it has. You know, and I've passed that on to my children. They've been through the worst. They've seen their mum die in front of their eyes. You know, and I said, look, we're all gonna die one day, so just be prepared. And I think it's easier. Like, they will be prepared. They're very, very strong. And just my outlook on life is like, because I've got this tattoo, you know, right here. It's an hourglass. So when you look at it, it's like you got the sand, more sand at the top, less sand at the bottom, which represents life. When I look at it, there's more sand at the bottom, less sand at the top. So it's a constant reminder saying, you know, memento mori is a Latin phrase for remember you will die. I've been through it, and it's going to happen one day.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Now, you mentioned that obviously Nim had that conversation of she didn't want you to get married again. Talk me through your mind frame as to when you thought, actually, I am ready.
I was never at that stage. So my plan was never, ever to get married, because I thought Nim left me behind to be mum and dad for our children. So I thought my main focus is going to be bringing them up as both parents. So how I met Palm is because I've been very open and honest about my journey and what I've been through. So I wrote a few articles online, and one of Palm's friends, we've got a mutual friend, he shared it. She read it. I thought, what's this about? And she's messaged me saying, you know what, wow, I didn't know, you know, hats off to you, and so on. So she just started following me on Instagram. A couple of months, you know, because you get so many messages, you just kind of like, you know, you can't really comment on all of them. And then she messaged about 4 or 5 months later saying, look, going through, well, I'm divorced, I need a will, I've got 3 young children. But yep, that's fine. You know, let's meet up. You know, I'll explain how it all works. But when we met, we didn't even talk about the will. You know, we literally hit it off straight away. We had so much in common.
Can I ask what the time frame was between obviously Nim passing and then you meeting Palm?
It was every year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was every year. But again, it was just, for me, it was just like business. Well, for her, it was just like, I need a will. And when we met, it wasn't like, right, that's it, we're going to get married. Nothing like that. When we walked away from each other, we thought, you know what, this person is going to be in my life for the rest of my life. Because not like as husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, just as friends. Because we got on so well. And then we had holidays, and someone thought, right, should we get the kids together? Got the kids together, went to the circus, hit it off straight away. Next holidays, Christmas holidays, got together again. And next minute, it's just got closer and closer. And then we had lockdown, in 2020. And then, kids were loving it, absolutely loving it, they were. And then I remember I told my parents, they were happy.
So
Then
obviously at that point, you and Palm were of the understanding of, actually, let's let's make this
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Okay.
So we thought, let's just see where it goes. But obviously, when you get parents involved, you know when that's serious. And then there's one time where Nim's mom came over. Not obviously lockdown, so just dropped some stuff off in the garden for the kids. And Avani is saying, "Oh, Palm came over," and she's like, "Who's Palm?" Like, "Oh, Daddy's friend." I thought, right, okay, right. There's a point I'm gonna have to tell him now. And then I went over and I told them, nah, they weren't happy at all. Yeah, they literally hit the roof.
But do you understand why they would have felt like that?
Yes and no. More no.
Okay. Why
Yes,
no?
because what am I doing wrong?
Why yes? I like to push it.
I think yes is more so where I would say 100% no, I don't understand. The yes is coming from the people that are saying to me, well, it's still their daughter, and so on. But okay, but nothing's going to bring her back. She's gone now. So what am I doing wrong? Yeah.
Do you think that they felt that if there was someone else in your life, then it meant them being pushed out of your life?
No.
And the kid's life, I guess.
The kid's life?
No. For them, it was like, what are you doing to Nim? How can you do this to her? You promised her you want to get married. Yeah, I did promise, but shit happens, these things happen. But the thing is, look at the children, look how happy they are. Again, it wasn't my plan. It's just one of them things, it just happened.
Going back to a previous question, you said that you were getting trolled. Was this at this point?
So when, so the pink Ludlu page.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So they shared something about me and an article, and that literally went viral. And that's when people thought, "Wow, congratulations! Oh, well done!" And we'd be like, "Wow, this is amazing!" But then you'd get fake profiles set up. Who you think you are, what are you doing to Nim? What are you doing to Nim's family? Even death threats and so on.
Wow.
Palm literally got one last week. She shared a picture of her and the kids because she took the younger three to Euro Disney, and she just basically tagged Nim in there, and then somebody basically set up a fake profile. I looked at it; it's only like the no followers, no posts. They follow 4 people, and they said, "What's the point of tagging Nim in? What are you trying to do to her? Why are you punishing the family? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing, this isn't right?" And so on. I commented. I said, "Look, another fake profile, yawn. Why don't you come and have a face-to-face conversation with us?" And I checked it the other day. They'd obviously delete their profile.
How was the wider community? So your
Very
friends, maybe
supportive.
very supportive.
Very, very supportive.
Do you think age has got something to do with it? Because you are young. When obviously you went through what you did with Nim, and now, do you think that has an impact on whether making that decision of getting remarried?
So I tell you what. I tell you what the problem is or was. Time for them is like, how can you do this so quickly? I was like, so my answer was, you point out on a calendar when it's okay for me to do that. They're like, we can't. Well, so what's the problem? Me and Nim had dreams. We had plans for our future with the kids, with each other. You guys have carried on, moved on, bought houses, got children. You carried on, whereas I'm still stuck here. So how can you say to me that so quickly? You don't live my life. You don't do the kids' homework. You don't bathe them. You don't cook for them. You don't clean for them. You don't do the washing. You don't do school runs. I have to do all of that. But still, I'm the bad guy. Don't I deserve happiness? Does anyone deserve happiness? Everyone. So
Do you think the wider community was accepting, because it is back in our granddad's times and stuff like that, when, for example, I know that from great grandpas and everything, when their wife passed away, or the other way around, they'd get remarried. So there was acceptance from the community because it's always happened in the past.
So I'll give you an example. So I spoke to one of Nim's family members, and I said, "Look, met someone, Palm. This is what she does. This is where she lives, and so on." And she was like, "Already?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I gave the example of Rio Ferdinand, the footballer,
Yep.
because his wife died at the same age, 3 kids, and so on. He got married 2 years later, but the response I got was, "Well, he's famous. He's a celebrity." I was like,
So maybe you need to become famous.
To be fair, he is pretty famous.
That
well,
is true.
fingers crossed, I will be after all this. But yeah, well, hang on. He's human. I'm human. We both got feelings. What's the difference? And I think culture has got something to do with it. It's just, yes, it's both. Some people claim to be modern.
I don't even think it's a modern thing, because back in, for example, India, men, I don't know if it was women, but I know men used to get remarried. It was just the thing.
Yeah, but
Some
women
men used to
didn't.
have,
Men were,
yeah,
yeah.
probably not women, but men used to have 3 wives. With one passed away, they'd get married again. So I don't think it's a modern thing. It's always been there.
Yeah, I think again, Western society that's changed things. It's definitely changed things, but because obviously you guys saw me from the Metro article, and if you look at the comments on the Metro Facebook, you will see there's so many positive comments on there.
Yeah.
Really positive. Reading through it, I thought, wow, look at all the support I'm getting, because there's always a doubt in your mind, thinking, have I done the right thing? Um, and I asked Naveen, my eldest, she can see everything. She's on social media, and she's like, "Daddy, I just can't understand. If anyone's got a problem, why don't they come and talk to me?"
So at the end of the day, the kids are happy, you're happy, the blended family's happy.
What's the
What else
problem?
is
What's the
there?
issue? What is the issue?
In regards to blended family, this is a very, I think it's a new term, I don't know. But how have your kids, Palm's kids dealt with it? It
Blended.
sounds like, yeah, blended, I guess. Has it been a smooth transition?
Yeah, it's been fairly smooth. Because if the kids didn't get on, then me and Palm wouldn't have done anything, because it's all about the children. Yeah, it's about us as well, but it's mainly about the children. And you got Naveen and Palm's eldest Aisha, literally inseparable. Yeah, you can't. They're literally like twins. If they're apart for 2 days, they'll FaceTime each other. How you doing? What you doing? And you know what, man? Let other kids play with you, but they all really, really, really get on.
Good.
All really, really get on. So I'm very lucky and blessed in that sense.
So we've been joined by Palm.
So we were just talking to Raj about the negative comments and the trolls that he was getting and his feelings on it. What was it like from your perspective?
It was quite a different experience. Firstly, I'd never been so public with my life. And then to receive, firstly, it was overwhelming to receive all the positive comments and getting back to people. Then when the negativity started to come our way, especially when it was quite specific, when there was no identity attached to the person making the comments. It was really, I was kind of taken aback, because I thought, nobody really knows our life. Only we know the life that we live. And social media, it is just a snapshot. We don't have the time to put everything up there. And for me, I don't really post things by overthinking it. It's when I feel like posting something, I post something. When it's something I want the kids to see in the future as a memory crop up, I post it. And so when these comments were coming in, I was really conflicted in my mind as to how to cope with it and deal with it. And Raj, he's been in the public eye for quite a while. So he was like, look, everything is a test. Everything that comes our way, we just got to know where we stand and what we stand for. This shouldn't be something that unsettles you, unnerves you, or, causes you to think differently about whatever it is that we posted or we put out there. And so you almost have to find it's a different kind of strength, because you built up all these strengths over the years of everything that you overcome, everything that comes your way. But when it's like someone out there that doesn't know me is hating on me, and I don't like to use that word very often, but it was very different and difficult. But it was just having the mindset to deal with it. At the end of the day, it is a test. It's putting it out there. It's asking you, what do you believe in? Is it what you've said? Were you being true to yourself? So I think that's the way we try and deal with things now. It's not someone attacking you. It can just be a little personal question to yourself. Is that what you meant? Is that what you still stand for? Because it doesn't change the truth, does it? It doesn't change your story, what you're going through, what you went through, what you're doing. It doesn't change or impact any of that unless you allow it to.
It's really interesting, actually. There was something you just said just now. It's about raising the awareness. We're in 2022 where, there will be blended families, there will be different situations. And until we bring that awareness to the world, especially the South Asian world, it's always going to be a tough one to sort of cover, one of the taboo subjects, I guess.
Yeah.
What was the reason why you went so public with it?
I think it was because Raj had already posted things, about his story, about Nim's illness and the things that they went through, and raising awareness of, being genetically tested for people that have like cancer that runs in their family. So he'd already put that part of it up there. And I think so many people used to message him saying, asking him about, where he is in his life, what's going on, what is he going to do? And they have all these questions. And then we were approached by quite a few people to do like little interviews or podcasts. There was an Instagram live that we did almost a year and a half ago, I think it was. And we had an overwhelming amount of response to that. I said to Raj, how many people are we expecting on this live? He said, about 30 to 40, maybe 50. I think it was over 300 people.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
that shows the fact that it is a subject that people want to talk about, right?
Yeah. I mean, it really opened. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never done a live before. I don't really like to speak on video. But
you speak better than Raj, don't worry.
Yay.
All right.
He's out of here.
I'm joking.
But yeah, we had so many people privately message us. I think I didn't have as many followers as Raj back then. I still don't. I think I alone had about 200 messages to get through.
Wow.
People that were either in my situation or Raj's situation, or they knew somebody, or they knew a parent, or somebody in their family. People that had encouraged their parents to remarry. People that regretted not encouraging their parents or family members to remarry, and they were just getting our stand, our viewpoint as to how we got here. For me, I went through divorce, and after that I was adamant that I was going to meet somebody. I said to my family, I want to meet somebody. I want to be with someone who feels about me how I feel about them. And my dad was very much like, no, you're not going to get married again. You just look after the kids. You focus on that. I don't want you going out and doing this, that, and the other. And I kind of left it for a bit, for about 6 months. Then I said to Dad, right, so you're with the woman you love. My brother married for love. My sister married for love. My other sister married for love. I said, so everybody around me are in these strong, healthy relationships. Am I the only one that doesn't deserve love? And I remember he looked at me and he broke down. And then never did he say to me ever again, don't get married again. And I thought, like, now he gets it. He gets where I'm coming from. And yeah.
How have your family taken it? Because obviously Raj went through a very tough time in what he went through.
Yeah.
How was the response from your family?
I think my mum, she could see how happy I was. after quite a few years. So she'd not seen me like that. So she was very supportive. My dad, he was worried, would I be able to cope with this? Could I manage it, manage this new relationship, manage all the children? And then as I would talk about it after he met Raj, my dad was like, look, just promise me one thing, be the best mother you can be to all of these children, especially those children that have lost somebody. And he said, if you can't live up to that, then you should walk away now.
Wow, that's a pretty
Yeah.
that's an amazing thing to say.
He's a serious man, so he says big things, and he knows when he says things to me, they hit hard. And I wouldn't have, taken it. I wouldn't have got to where I am if I wasn't serious about it. Because the biggest question for us was always, right, the children, how are they going to be? How are they going to respond? How are they going to react? How are they going to feel? And that had to be the basis of our two families coming together.
And that's exactly what I said before, is that the main thing was that children get on. If they didn't, then, then us too. So lucky for you that the kids did get on, isn't it?
And then on that point, how have you found it? Because it is tough as a woman, I guess, having that blended family and obviously having stepkids. How have you found it, the experience?
To be fair, I'm one of four, so we're a fairly big family. I've got lots of cousins. My mum was in the habit of going around and collecting them all every other weekend, and taking us to trips down to the beach and bowling and cinema. And she was the one that did all the activities. She was the bua that got everyone together. She was the mussy that grabbed everyone together. And I remember growing up thinking, I want a big family. I want to be just like my mum. I want to be the one gathering everyone together. And I was that person for quite a few years,
Tell them what your teacher said in the question.
So I remember, I think I must have been in reception. I was about 5 years old. And the teacher asked everybody, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was so excited. And I never used to put my hand up. I was so excited to put my hand up. And I was like, me, pick me. And then she thought, oh, she's got her hand up. So she picked me to answer. And I said, I want to be a mummy. And I said it with so much pride. And everybody laughed at me. And I just couldn't understand. It was so strange for me that everybody was laughing. Because I was thinking, oh, did I say something funny or wrong? Or after that, I didn't put my hand up for quite a long time, but I couldn't understand it because I thought that's all I wanted to be, because I used to look at, my nanny, my gran, my mum, and I used to think, they're taking care of all these children all the time and making everybody happy. And that's all I wanted, to share happiness by making the children around me happy. I used to look after my cousins quite a lot over summer holidays and things.
So see, being South Asian, having all this extended family, there's the positivity in it, I guess.
Exactly. Learning how to make roti when you're 11 years old, it came in handy.
Can you teach me?
The other thing that I suppose comes up in my mind is obviously, how do you sort of bring it up to the kids about Nim as well? Because obviously you've said that you have tagged her into posts and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you sort of make sure her memory is still alive, I guess?
Well, for me, like early days, like Naveen and I had exchanged numbers when she got her mobile phone. I think it was during like the first lockdown or something. And I said to her, look, anytime you need to message me, she had my elder daughter's number as well. I said, just message us, call us if you've got any questions, because I was very conscious of the fact that she's becoming, a young lady, and she might, need people to talk to and things like that. And I remember speaking to her and saying, just talking to her, that there's nobody out there in the world that could ever replace mummy, And I said, you're so lucky that you still have so many females in your life. You've got Nanny, you've got your Masya, you've got your Bua, you've got us guys as well now, my sisters, once you meet them. And I said to her, like, regardless of what happens and what relationships you form, no, not one of those relationships will ever replace the relationship you had with your mummy. And don't ever feel like guilty for being close to another female. It's not because they want to take that place. It's just because they want to make sure you've still got somebody around you that you can speak to today. And so I don't know, we just kind of clicked from the offset. So she really understood what I used to talk about. We used to talk till 3 a.m. sometimes. If I look back now, she was only like 10, 11 years old. 11 years old. And so being open with them. And I asked her the other day because I found quite a negative comment. I'd put a post up and somebody written below, what's the point in, tagging someone when they're not here anymore? I mean, their words were much harsher than that. And so then I thought, I haven't actually spoken to the kids about the fact that I tagged Nim in these posts. So I said to Naveen, I said, do you mind that I tag Mummy, or do you? And she's like, oh my God, Palm. She goes, that's one of the reasons that everyone loves you, because you think about these things. And she said, it may not reach her, but we see it and it reminds us of her as well. And then when the memory crops up too, and she goes, because you don't make it all about yourself. Because I've always had it's not even at the back of my mind, it's at the front of my mind. I still don't want to ever replace Nim. We talk about her, we talk about the things that she used to do, that she was very artistic, the things that she's into, and I make sure that we encourage all of the kids to take up the activities that she used to do as well. Even my youngest, she'll refer to her as Nim Mummy, and she'll write little messages to her and in her prayers and things like that. And why should that be wrong? Why should that be a bad thing? We're trying to teach children that all relationships are healthy with all kinds of people, even if you didn't have a direct link to that person. She refers to Naveen, Avani and Viren as her brothers and sisters. Where have they come from? They've come from their parents,
So this was my comment to that troll, is like, come and sit with us face to face, have a chat with us, We will let the kids do all the talking.
Do you feel you need to answer them because you're doing so well as a family? Do you need to answer to those negative comments?
It's like, sometimes, yes, you do. You need to justify yourself. You shouldn't. But like, come on, mate. We've done all of this. Get that one person that drains your energy. You think, oh, come on, right, I want to tell this person, because the majority might get sucked into that negative comment. Actually, they made a good point. Like, why are you tagging them in it? Why are you doing this? So sometimes you feel like, okay, you do need to respond to them. And this is what I've always said, okay, right? Stop hiding behind a laptop, computer, keyboard. Come and talk to us face to face. I'll line all the kids up. We're here. You tell me what your problem is. Yeah, but no one's ever taken us on that offer because they know. Because what happens is 2 days later, they'll delete their profile.
Yeah. As we come to the end of this episode, what advice would you give someone who is perhaps not in exactly the situation you were, but is thinking of getting remarried? What advice would you give them? Oh, there we are. Okay, that was fast.
That's dusted.
That's fair enough. Okay, that's the end of it then. What would you say, Palm? Because you're a bit more, you elaborate a bit more, to be fair.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, you literally, okay, so whether you are divorced, whether you're widowed, you get this one life, okay? You get this one life. You don't want to be in your deathbed thinking, what if I did get married again? What if I did this? So I think what the turning point for me was some random stranger messaged me on Instagram saying, look, please don't take offense to this, but our mum passed away when we were young, and we said to our dad, right, get married again. Dad was like, no, we're not going to. We're now all married. We've got our own children. Dad's in his 70s. He's at home alone. And I thought, shit, I don't want to be like that. I do not want to be like that. So you get this one life. You know what? We'll do whatever makes you happy. She makes me happy. Oh. She makes my children happy. She makes my parents happy. Everyone happy. And that is the main thing. That's the main thing. if it wasn't so late at night, I'll bring all the kids down. I line them up. But
I nearly were at the start of this podcast.
but yeah.
Palm, do you want to add anything as a advice to anyone that might be going through a similar situation?
Yeah, do you know what? Life is short. It's the main thing this guy talks about, and it really, really is short. It's too short to not feel like you've fulfilled yourself, and like do it. Happiness is everything.
And on that point, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.